We're in Griffith Park. My original idea was to go to Griffith Observatory because I want to talk about UFOs and disclosure, but parking is like 15 bucks an hour, so. What do I think UFOs are? I think there are the nuts and bolts kind of UFOs. Then I also think there are things that are dimensional. I've seen several UFOs. One time when I was like in high school, my buddy and I were riding in the back of a pickup truck on this deserted road, and we're both looking up and we see this green light. It's like stoplight green going across the sky, and then it hits a certain point and it goes bam and just takes off in a split second to the horizon and it's gone. And there is nothing that we have that I'm aware of that wouldn't squish the occupant of that vehicle.
All right.
Hey. How you feeling, sir? How you feeling? You with us yet?
Whoa.
Second UFO. Part of the cool thing about living where I live, there's little airports around, and so I took pilot's lessons. And I would always be looking in the sky and watching planes fly over and identifying them. One day I started noticing these little white dots in the sky, and there must have been like 24 of them. And they're all cruising along, just like kind of staying in one area. I called Crystal out so she could see this. And we were watching them for a little while, and then they took off in two different directions. Some went this way, some went that way. If it's something floating in the air current, it's going to all move in roughly the same direction. But these things took off and they went in different directions. Something else I saw right after watching that was this black thing. I think it was a black helicopter, and it flew kind of over us really low and past us. But I also feel like it was kind of in that Predator movie camouflage, where it's kind of blurred out. And I think what I saw was a helicopter. I'm not sure if that was like projected on me to see that. Crystal saw the same thing, and she said that it was a small black thing that went over the house, and it was really pretty low. So we saw kind of different things. So that kind of matches some of my other experiences with how I think the other side and how I think especially UFOs and ETs will kind of manipulate our perception so that we don't know what we've seen. One thing that wasn't a UFO, but this matches a lot of the lore of UFO sightings and abduction experiences and things like that, is missing time. I experienced missing time. This was on the way home from Las Vegas, going to San Diego with a bunch of my buddies, and we're in Arizona on the east side of the Colorado River. We ended up kind of in an agricultural area, and we were over this field. And I mean over as in there's this road that's kind of elevated above the field. And we pull over and there's this tall farmer. That's how I remember it, a tall farmer. The next thing we knew, it was like 30 minutes later, and we were on the west side of the Colorado River driving back into Arizona. We crossed the river and it was 30 minutes later. And we all just kind of came to and we're like, what's happening? How did we get here? So that's missing time. I don't know what happened. I'm the only one that remembers the farmer, the tall farmer, but I think that's a presentation, somebody putting something in my head or changing my perception. So how does UFO activity relate to paranormal activity, paranormal phenomena? I think that there's a lot of crossover between UFO and ET stuff, cryptids like Bigfoot, fairies, ghosts, angels, all of that stuff. I think all of that is transdimensional. They can be here in the physical and they can blink out and be in another dimension or be in two dimensions or multiple dimensions at one time. And that's a lot of UFO sightings there's this big thing there and then it's gone. And I've seen the same kind of thing with some sort of being, not a human. I don't know what this was, but there was a being in my house. It looked in my room. It noticed that I saw it, so it ducked out, and then it ducked back in to look again, kind of like a double take, like, really, this guy can see me? And then he disappeared. And by that time I was up and chasing him down the hallway, and he was gone. He just blinked out. Another thing that happens with the crossover with UFOs, ETs, and paranormal is all of these folks are drawn to paranormal activity. They're also drawn to psychic activity. So if you're opening up and becoming aware, you're lighting up, and that will draw their attention. So a lot of times when you've got ghosts and you become interested in it, other kinds of beings will come and visit. And then there's also the possibility of ETs showing up and opening you up with your psychic ability or turning you on. That's also something that is reported. Do any movies get it right? I think they do. I think a lot of movies do hit on things that are accurate for UFOs and ETs and abductions and things like that. I think Close Encounters really hits a lot of stuff correctly. There are a lot of movies out there that do hit on things. All of them miss on some things, or at least from my experiences, and they'll get little tiny pieces right. I mean, I think a lot of this stuff is based on reality. It's based on people looking into it and studying it. There's also a lot of different kinds of experience people have. We've got different things going on, and so, I mean, I only know the little tiny part of the puzzle that's my stuff. You can probably watch the movies and you'll know kind of what seems to ring true. I mean, you can kind of check it with your own intuition and awareness, because you might have a better sense of what's real and what's not real. What do I think about ancient alien theory? I think a lot of the ancient alien stuff is right on. I think that it's naive to think that we're like, oh, we just arose and we figured this out and figured that out. I do think we're smart. I think if we look back at ancient humans and everything, I think we were really smart, really intelligent, and we worked really well with that context. Think about shaman in different cultures, or medicine men, or whatever, and you think about, they know the stuff about herbs and about medicines and about things they can find in nature and how to use them. And I believe that is stuff that is related to getting information from the other side. So I think that we are influenced and we do get information that way. So I'm totally with the ancient alien stuff. It's not all aliens though. Could be other kinds of weird stuff. Why don't people get better pictures or videos of UFOs? We are all carrying cell phones with good cameras. We could record audio, we could get video, we could get all this stuff. We seldom do. It's hard to get a picture of something like really quickly. Like, oh, I want to get a picture of something. Wrong button. Okay, so that's me getting a picture, and that was, if it was something unreal, it would have taken too long to get that picture. So there's that part, and then there's also the part where I think that they're manipulating our perception. I actually got pictures of a UFO once. I was clicking a bunch of pictures of my buddy. We were on a motorcycle ride. I was behind him and I was trying to get all these pictures of him. So we're cruising along and I play back these pictures, and there's something in the sky in all of these frames, this little disc, and I'm looking at it on my camera, scrolling through, and it's nuts. It's in all of these pictures, and I go to show him, and there's blue sky in all of those pictures. It's gone, it's been erased. So they can affect our technology. I don't know how they do it. I'm guessing they can manipulate time and space. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, the pictures were gone. I knew they were there. I saw them. And it wasn't like I waited to show him later. I was showing him right then and there. All right, to get to the disclosure question, the Pentagon and Navy have released evidence of something that is a UFO.
Echo 6-1 Tango Project, over. Roger, there's troubleshooting.
Did you box moving target? There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's like another thing, it's rotating.
They've chased it with fighter jets. They've gotten reports from the ships that saw it, and then also from multiple pilots. And they've chased these things often. And it's funny because society hasn't reacted. We aren't responding at all. It's just kind of like, we're just looking the other way. And I think it's too scary for a lot of people. And I think it is still unreal for a lot of people. And then I think there are the people that, probably you guys, because you're watching me talk about UFOs and disclosure, you guys are like, yeah, I told you, we know. So it's not blowing anybody's minds. You're either resisting it and not accepting it, or it's like, it's part of reality and you've seen a ton of that kind of stuff. Another part of disclosure is the argument that it would totally uproot and disrupt religion and government and our financial institutions, and like we'd all go into chaos. I don't know. I think we're pretty well desensitized to UFOs being real or aliens. I don't know. I'm looking at it from my viewpoint. I know that all sorts of things are real and they're around us and involved in our lives and stuff. I've dealt with ETs, different kinds of ETs, so I know they're real. So it's not blowing my mind or changing how I'm going to function necessarily, but if it's official and they come out and like, hey, there's an ET delegation with the president and they're on TV and talking, and we'd all have to come to terms with that, and that would be a big deal. I don't know how that would affect things. I think the Catholic Church has accepted the idea of ETs. It's probably because they know. They own observatories in different parts of the world. I know there's one somewhere in the southwestern United States on some like Mount Lucifer or something like that. It's insane, but I think the Catholic Church knows that there are ETs. I think the government knows there are ETs. I think, some of that old stuff like Project Blue Book, I think that was cover-up stuff. I think we've been dealing with ETs for years. People I know that have top secret clearances, these are like, well, I don't want to get into who they are. People with top secret clearances who are in positions to know this stuff, who deal with space, astronomy, space programs, stuff like that. They're totally open-minded about a lot of things, and you ask them about ETs or UFOs, and they shut you down so fast, they don't want to talk about it. And the only reason they wouldn't want to go there, I think, is because the penalties or the possible harm that can happen to you or loved ones or whatever is so great that they want to shut down that conversation. It's like Men in Black stuff where just stop, don't ask questions. Okay, so why hasn't disclosure happened? I don't think it's up to us. I don't think it's up to humans. I think it's up to the ETs. I think they're running the show. I think we're depending on them. And I think when they are ready, they'll let us know and they'll let it out of the bag. And I think we aren't letting this information out because I think it's scary. And what do I mean by scary? It's us losing our illusion of control. Like somebody else has been pulling the strings. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know exactly what's going on there. And there are beautiful things about it and scary things about it. What do I think about the intentional contact movement? People who are seeking contact with ETs. It's kind of the same way as seeking contact with the other side for anything. You're opening doors and you really don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know who you're gonna draw. You can have all these intentions like, oh, I want to have the benevolent, loving crew come over and meet with me, but I don't think it works that way. I don't think we have that kind of control, especially when dealing with ETs. ETs are an unknown group. There are tons of ETs out there. We can want to contact the good guys, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's who's gonna show up. And with ETs, to deal with ETs, you probably need to have connections with other ETs because they're kind of hard to deal with. So, should you want to contact ETs? It's up to you. I'd be very careful with it. I'd stick to your ghosts, stick to your spirits. Fairies are even dangerous. You know, yeah, be careful, be careful. And if you get yourself in trouble, I can work with you. I don't want to though, not like that. Let's have an easy session where you're just connecting with folks and talking to your guides and stuff like that. Not, I have ETs in my house and I think they're abducting me and I need your help. Let's not do that one. If I had the chance to get on a ship, would I? Right now, I don't think I would. I think I've got enough stuff going on around me and with me, and I'm connecting with all these folks right now while being somewhat grounded on Earth that I don't feel I need to get on a ship. Would you get on a ship? That's your question. And really anything else you want to talk about with this. So comment below, and I hope I've answered some questions. I hope you get an idea of my viewpoint. If you want to see more of this, if you want more of these kind of things, please let me know in the comments and please subscribe, all of that stuff. And thanks for watching.